You are now tuned in to Go Time Dolphins with Charlie Touche and Kadeem Simmons, the Miami Dolphins podcast that's for the fans and by the fans.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. Go. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Go. Don't waste no time.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever and whenever you are watching this episode. As myself and Charlie have said multiple times, we don't really speak outside of the podcast. You know, most of our conversations happen when we enter this room. So apologies for being a bit late. We was doing some much needed, I guess, housekeeping behind the scenes. It is Friday. It is Valentine's Day. It is also voice of the podcast, Jordan Simmons' birthday. So happy birthday, Jordan Simmons, my sister, hence the Kadeem Simmons, all that kind of stuff. And also, as the last few weeks have been, you know, us apologizing to each other on air, it is only right that I continue this apology on air, Charlie. I am deeply, deeply, deeply sorry for not messaging you happy birthday on your birthday. And I think I genuinely know when your birthday is, and it's only when I was sitting there about to post Jordan's poster to graphic to Twitter, I was like, and if you have any kids, skip 30 seconds, because this was my literal reaction sitting there in this chair. Fuck! And then I sent the voice note. So, Charlie, I am so sorry. Can everyone drop a happy birthday in the chat for Charlie? That is a very long-winded way of me saying, Charlie, tell everyone what time it is.
It's Go Time Dolphins, the Miami Dolphins podcast that goes not only across the pond, but across the world. I'm your boy, Charlie Touche. Got my co-host, Kadeem Simmons, with me. It's always for the fans and by the fans. Your favorite podcast, and official affiliates of Fanatics, where you could be a fanatic of your favorite franchise. Listen, I ain't gonna lie. Kadeem didn't tell me happy birthday, right? And I missed a birthday before. Thank you for the happy birthdays in the comments. Appreciate you, Robert Ashton. I missed a couple birthdays before in my time where I like, damn, I forgot this person's birthday, right? It's not a good feeling. I'm not gonna lie. It's not a good feeling. But at the same time, I'm like, yo, I wasn't like, you know, maybe Kadeem got something else planned. Maybe it was going to be like oh, you thought I forgot your birthday. You know what I'm saying? I don't, it's cool, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, well. And then it did get to the point where I was like, nah, dog, just forgot. But it is what it is. I'm not tripping. Maybe I tripped a little bit at first, but I'm not tripping, man. Life is too short to be. And, you know, there's some people who are big birthday people. And it's funny because I know a couple big birthday people that have forgotten my birthday before. I'm like, you're a big birthday person, but you forgot my birthday, and now you sour because I only said happy birthday. It's the wildest thing. People are funny. But I don't have time to waste on birthdays and forgetting stuff. And life is too fragile for that and too short for that. But appreciate you.
Yeah, and it's funny as well because I went back and I was like, I even messaged you on your birthday. I was like, oh, I made it 10 times worse. But it is a week of birthdays, a week of celebration. But it's also a week of change and reflection. Haven't been here since our last episode. Go check it out. Amazing conversation with Josh Addo, the versatile defender in the upcoming NFL draft. We have some huge interviews over the next week or so. So make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on for that. But Charlie, I am going to assume you have seen the news, but I also know your work and sleep schedule means you may have missed it. So what's the moves you've seen the Dolphins make over the past 24 hours? You on mute?
Kendall Fuller and Raheem Mostert are slated to be released from the Miami Dolphins. Correct?
There's one more.
Who else we got?
Smythe.
Smythe, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Smythe. So Smythe Kendall Fuller and Raheem Mostert will be released from the Miami Dolphins. I mean, we're like $13 million over the cap, so we got to get under the cap. And this was projected like, yo, this is going to be Mike McDaniel's 4th season as a head coach, right?
Yep.
Time flies, doesn't it, Kadeem?
It's insane. Absolutely insane.
So it's going to be McDaniel's 4th year as a head coach. And the way the rebuild, quote unquote, works is you have to have a projection. And when this thing was, I want to say, first drafted up, we didn't anticipate that we would lose 2 years of a rookie quarterback season because the head coach would sabotage the franchise. And even still, the GM, in my opinion, did a really good job in keeping things on par to be competitive. And then that was derailed by the quarterback getting hurt. So even in the midst of that, all of that, you still had seasons where you were like, oh, this is looking really good for the Miami Dolphins. We are not under the radar anymore. We're on everyone's radar. MVP candidates, and you have a chance to win the 1 seed, and you're playing your best football. It's just we wanted that on a consistent basis, and now it's not there no more. The only good thing about all of this, Kadeem, is we get to be under the radar again, and no one believes in us again. And then now we can sneak up on people again. That's the only positive thing about all this. However, the bad thing is your cap will reflect as if you were a Super Bowl team that should be shuffling pieces around because you won the Super Bowl or you came close to winning the Super Bowl, and your cap is not going to be as friendly as it was in the previous 5 years. Thus, what's it called? Thus, the something lies the rub. How's that quote go?
I will double check. If I Google something lies the rub. Oh, it's gonna go well. The best. Therein lies the rub.
Therein lies the rub. Yeah. So here we are. We are met with cap problems, and we don't have franchise wins or notable victories or championships to justify these cap problems. And this is where we are. So what you got for us for today, Kadeem?
Well, it's interesting because Raheem Mostert was the first name. I believe his agent kind of said, the Dolphins are, or my client is, looking for a new team. Mentioned about chasing the ring. Raheem Mostert, I don't think he'll be in the playoffs next year. I think he'll go to a good team, but he's 31, 32. Still got the same fumble issues. So he's 32. He turns 33 in April. Let's be completely honest. Where's he gonna go? Even at a vet minimum, it's like, your chances aren't looking good for a playoff team. You're not Derrick Henry. Smythe, I found quite interesting because 2 years ago he was declared tight end 1. Johnny Smith comes in, and Smythe's role gets reduced drastically, and there's some drops in there. It's quite interesting, but I didn't think he'd be cut. I thought it was like, hey, it's an off year, you'll come back. Kendall Fuller is the one that everyone seems to have taken people by surprise. Only been in the building a year. We know how Chris Greer loves these corners. It's not like the Dolphins are blessed at corner, but Kendall Fuller's someone who you saw pick up quite a few injuries, quite a few concussions, and this just might be a case of, hey, we have a history of being injury prone. We're just going to move on from you now. Again, I think he's 31 as well. Kendall Fuller is 30. He turned 30 yesterday, so it's he's definitely the most surprising. But like you said, you have to get under the cap, and I guess when you have no playoff wins, no championships, no Super Bowl rings, anyone can get cut because
no division titles.
Yeah, like this has just been a mid franchise. So why are we getting nostalgic and keeping and piling over people who haven't really contributed much? It's a shame, but yeah, Rob Ashton says, and shout out to Rob Ashton. He reminded me this week that it's Rob, not Robert. So apologies from behalf of Go Time Dolphins. He asks, or he says,
No.
that's why.
I ain't gonna lie. Shout out to Rob Ashton. We rock with you here on GTD. But Kadeem just gave you an apology. I do not support that apology because your comment says Robert Ashton, so we could only you know what I'm saying? Cassius Clay, you feel me? If it says Robert Ashton, I'm gonna call you Robert Ashton in the comments. I'm not gonna call you something else that your name doesn't say. But I will apologize, but just not like Kadeem did. I'm just saying.
That is fair. But yeah, he says that's why Fuller's a bit of a surprise. Isn't there a dead cap hit? And I think there's a dead cap hit if it's a before June 1st cut, but I'm sure we'll get more information over the next few days and weeks.
I mean, we could look it up. I haven't, but I can. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a dead cap hit. It just matters of how much before June 1st and how much after June 1st. So yeah. So Kadeem, we're cleaning up some things, trying to get under the cap. There's still restructures we can do. If you restructure Bradley Chubb, that means you keep him, but then you're locked in with Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips and Chop Robinson. You probably don't go D-line or edge on the draft, or there goes your Myles Garrett too. Myles Garrett's a little bit more unrealistic, but there's also, you can restructure Tua, but if you restructure Tua, you actually clear up all the cap you need to move forward. If you just restructure Tua, you can do whatever you want in the next 5 months. However, that would mean you're tied into Tua for like the next 3 seasons, approximately 3 seasons. Like there's no more getting out of Tua for like 3 seasons. I suspect if you restructure Tua, then Ross is saying, I'm rocking with Tua, Greer, and McDaniel for the next 2+ seasons. I don't know what type of sign that gives you. You know what I'm saying? That's a little comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like I kind of like people to play under pressure. You know what I'm saying? But that's just, I'm just giving you the details of what happens if you restructure Tua. If you don't restructure Tua, you can get out of that contract basically the end of next season. So it's some telling times that are about to happen within the next 3 months. Again, you can make cap space. You can create a little space here. You can let go of Bradley Chubb. You can do a couple things. But we haven't touched on this because there's a Super Bowl, and then we've been interviewing prospects for the draft. And even during Super Bowl Radio Row, Tyreek Hill made a public appearance and a public apology, and now has come out and said since then that he wants to be a Miami Dolphin. Does he want to be a Miami Dolphin, Kadeem? Is he just saying that, or does it look like the Dolphins are going to move forward with Tyreek Hill at a minimum of this season?
It's an interesting one because, as Omar Kelly said, Tyreek didn't want to speak after that Jets lost. He didn't want to speak, probably because he knew what he was going to say. I know as a former sports journalist, there's a lot of people in the industry who believe talking to players and managers after a game is the worst thing you can do because emotions are high, all that kind of stuff.
I think it's the best thing you can do, but go ahead.
But that's the thing. It's also like, hey, no, I'm going to chat to you now because this is when you're going to be the most honest. You aren't going to have time to sit down and really try, play the media game. So listen, as I said after the game, people having to go at Tyreek Hill for quitting are the same people who had quit on the team that game as well, or months beforehand. His apology is kind of what I expected because, if there's this opportunity that you don't actually leave, the last thing you want to do is walk back into that building and be like, this is kind of awkward now. So I think it's more of him, apologizing because it's the right thing to do. And also you actually might stick around. So the best you can do is, repair some of the damage that you've caused. But it doesn't stop the Dolphins from moving on. It just makes it easier if he stays. The apology to me is it's meaningless. It doesn't change anything. if Dolphins are going to move on for him, they're going to move on from him. Saying sorry is just like, okay, cool, we appreciate it, but nothing changes, in my opinion.
I think the Dolphins are going to hold on to him. I don't think they want to hold on to him, and I don't think he wants to be here. I think we're now in a relationship where it's like they're just enduring each other. And I don't know how healthy that is. I think you can move on from Tyreek Hill. You won't be as competitive without him, but you can find yourself to be what the Green Bay Packers are. All kind of dope receivers over there. None of them are name brands. You know what I'm saying? So I think you can get there and be competitive, but just not as competitive as if you have Tyreek Hill. Teams will play you different. And I'm here for that because I actually believe in Tua, unlike some people. Like, I believe Tua can, now that he has gotten to a point in his career, we don't need to have 3 wide receiver ones on the football team. It'll be nice, though. That's cool. Shout out to Philly. They just won the Super Bowl. But you don't have to have it if you're Tua. You need more protection than anything else. Jalen Hurts happens to have the receiver ones and the protection. And, like, dang, that would be
and
nice.
the running back. And
the
defense.
we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. We're not gonna, and the D-line. And, you know what I'm saying? But, hey, cool. And the DBs. But, Dolphins did a good job. We did a good job. We just didn't deliver. That one year, we failed at the end of the season. Played KC in KC. We had a chance at the number 1 seed. That's all on us. People were hurt. It is what it is. So we did do a good job, but we didn't deliver. That being said, you could keep Tyreek. You could move on from Tyreek. Here's my thing that I think is the biggest acquisition in the offseason so far, and I don't think there will be any other acquisition bigger than this one. Before I move on to that, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We appreciate you here on Go Time Dolphins. It goes a long way. Before I get into that, on the same topic, 5 Ali, shout out to 5 Ali, hit us and said, I said, I don't buy what Tyreek Hill is saying. 5 Ali was like, you never said anything that you didn't mean? And I'm like, not as an adult. No, like I don't think I've ever said something like, well, I didn't really mean that. I was just taking a shot and I just wanted to, hurt people. You know that?
Yeah.
Like, I think if you say something, there's truth in it. There's legit truth in it. So I'm really not out here just trying to say stuff just because. And I think Tyreek Hill absolutely meant it. And I think they're going to stay together. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think we're going to keep Tyreek. That being said, Kadeem, the biggest acquisition of the offseason is going to be, and it has happened, which is Bobby Slowick. Bobby Slowick is the former offensive coordinator for the Houston Texans. When CJ Stroud came in and took the league by storm, it was Bobby Slowick who was calling plays and the offensive coordinator and took them boys to wherever they went to with CJ Stroud. He was a hot button offensive coordinator that could have been hired that did not get hired. And in this season, they regressed a little bit. They went through some injuries as well. Lost Nico Collins for a while. Lost Stephon Diggs for the season. And Bobby Slowick did not perform as well as he did in the previous season. But yet, Houston still got to the playoffs, right?
I'll double check. I think they did.
I think they won their division and lost in the first round of the playoffs.
2024 playoff picture. AFC, let's load. Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, Texans got the 4th seed, 10-7.
So Bobby Slowick makes the playoffs twice with CJ Stroud. Turns out, Kadeem, Bobby Slowick and CJ Stroud been beefing since before they even drafted CJ Stroud. Did you know that?
I knew that they had issues. I didn't know how deep it was.
Bruh, so, and we're gonna bring this all home. So just to touch on it real quick, Bobby Slowick and CJ Stroud had issues. I don't know if Bobby Slowick didn't like CJ Stroud, but CJ Stroud definitely did not like Bobby Slowick. Did not think he was going to the Texans. Went as much to say that the interview with the Texans, the pre-draft interview with the Texans, went terrible. and he's probably not going there. We could get into this probably in bonus time, so we don't derail from the Dolphins. At the end of the day, Bobby Slowick is now the senior pass game coordinator for the Miami Dolphins. And I know you wonder, like, what does that even mean? So you got an offense coordinator and Frank Smith. He doesn't even call plays. He's just the OC. The head coach, which is Coach McDaniels, he calls the plays. Then you have the quarterback coach, who is also a renowned offensive coordinator, in Darrell Bevell. All right. He's the quarterback coach, though. So now you bring in another offensive coordinator and make him the senior passing coordinator for the team. So now you have, in essence, 4 offensive coordinators on one team for the Miami Dolphins. And I know you're probably thinking the average football fans are like, what does this even mean? That sounds like a lot. And it is a lot. Doesn't mean Darrell Bevell can't go somewhere else right now. Because they might be preparing like, well, if Darrell Bevell isn't here, we can make easy transitions. I'm not a huge fan of Darrell Bevell, to be honest with you. Yeah, everyone knows why. Maybe you don't, but we'll get into that some other time. But Tua loves Darrell Bevell. They have a great relationship, and you want your quarterback happy. It's a harmonious situation in the quarterback room. Cool, right? Here's my thing, Kadeem. For so long, I've been one of these people that said, bro, who's going to call the plays on the team that y'all want to take play calling duties away from Coach McDaniel? He has given us, in 3 seasons he's been on the team, 2 top 10 offenses that we haven't seen in 25 years, since the 90s, over 25 years. We haven't had a top 10 offense since the 90s. And Coach McDaniel came in his first 2 seasons and gave us 2 top 10 offenses and 1 like best offense in the league on paper, statistically. The 3rd season, which was last year, Tua gets hurt. And even when Tua comes back, the offense is a top 6 offense when he comes back. So for people to say they don't want McDaniel to call plays, I'm like, yo, I don't know. Like, this is a lot for you to take away play calls from Coach McDaniels when he has been delivering top 10 offenses. This is for the first time, Kadeem. For the first time, I'm like, you have a play caller now, and Bobby Slowick, that can take away calling plays from Coach McDaniel. Now, I got this question. Now I'm running long. I got this question, Kadeem. If McDaniel is truly on the hot seat, and Greer is truly on the hot seat, and the rebuild is 1 year away, if McDaniel's job is on the line, you think he's going to hand over play calling to Bobby Slowick? And if his job, all right, the season's going bad, all right, here goes play calls to Bobby Slowick, my job's on the line, let me help him save me. Or does he start the season by giving play calls to Bobby Slowick and then take it away midseason? This could get very sloppy, very messy. However, this could be very good. Now, shout out to Cat for Life. He says, how many cooks in the kitchen? And I'm like, yo, does it really hurt that everybody got their own sauce? You feel me? Like, everybody got their own sauce, but what are we really making here? So, in my opinion, it still goes back to, I don't know if Coach McDaniel isn't a good play caller, because I think he really is. He just need to get the plays out on time. That's his thing. You have to get the players out on time. I don't know. You throw the baby out with the bathwater, though. Like, yo, switch up the play callers. But now, for the first time ever, as I hand it over to you, Kadeem, we actually have a play caller that can challenge or rival Coach McDaniel. What do we do with who the play caller is this season when the season starts?
So, yeah, a lot to unpack there. I do agree with Cap when he says too many cooks in the kitchen. I think even if they've all got amazing different sauce, it becomes okay, I want to do this. Okay, well, I want to do that. Okay, well, I think this is like, yo, if everyone's, on the same, essentially, if you can get everyone on the same page, cool, fair enough. I don't think you'll be able to. Darrell Bevell, I'm surprised didn't join Pete Carroll, who's in Las Vegas right now with the Raiders, is it?
Yep.
I thought he was going to go there, and like you said, he still might leave to go somewhere. I think what will be interesting is who calls play in pre-season. It might be a case where he goes, you know what, I'm going to give Slowick the play calling duties in pre-season, and while pre-season doesn't really mean too much, it's always kind of tips the hand slightly, seeing who does that. I guess. I think the other thing as well is, you've just seen Nick Sirianni hand off play calling and win a Super Bowl, and yet there's the clip of, I think he's telling the OC to call the deep bomb to Devonta Smith, and he's like, "Do it. We'll put the game away." The deep ball is called. Devonta Smith touchdown. Essentially, game over. So even if McDaniel does hand over play calling duty, it doesn't mean he won't have a say. He could still be like, "Hey, what do you have in mind for this play? I think we should do this," and kind of go from there. Shout out to Cliff D. He says, "Who cares anymore? The Ross Finns are pathetic." I always find it quite interesting when people comment "Who cares anymore" in an online video. I appreciate the comment, but I still believe you care because you just commented, and I will always find that a greatly appreciated thing to do. So thank you very much, Cliff D. Welcome to Go Time Dolphins. But yeah, I think, Slowick is an interesting addition, and I wouldn't be surprised if, as pre-season or as training camp starts and the questions start coming in, that McDaniel kind of hints at hopefully not a joint OC situation we had with Brian Flores, but if Slowick kind of starts to have a bigger input in the play calling process at the very least.
So Darrell Bevell stayed in Miami because he thought Miami was going to win a championship this previous season. I think a lot of people thought we were going to come close to winning the championship last season had we had a quarterback. So a lot of things your wide receiver one might not have won it out if you thought you were going to have a healthy quarterback. So a lot of things change now that it is apparent that concussions can be a real thing, like a consistent thing with our quarterback. Now, a lot of people's tunes might change, like, yo, now I don't know about this no more. You see what I'm saying? So Darrell Bevell might not want to stay here anymore because before it was, yo, I'm the quarterback coach. Look what we did with Tua. Look at the sexiest offense in the league. And now it might not be that no more. So I wonder if Bevell abandoned ship. So that's a good question to ask. But it still doesn't. And Frank Smith doesn't call plays. So I think it's only like 3 different play callers. Frank Smith is actually the OC. So I still get back to McDaniel has a problem getting plays out. Now I'm gonna be real with you. Bobby Slowick really did his thing with Houston. He really did. So I don't know what the front office does. Like at what point they do it either. Or do they put their foot down and say, nah, we're pulling the plug on your play calls, McDaniel? You feel me? Because that's the only way I think it happens. I think the only way Bobby Slowick becomes a play caller is if the front office gets involved. I don't know, bro. So I'm interested to see what happens because there's a part of me that wants to see Bobby Slowick call plays because it's just different. It's a different field. But there's another part of me that says, why would we switch play callers when we've been successful whenever we have a quarterback? You see what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know about that, bro. And that's a whole conversation. Well, that'll be a question we can ask every Dolphins guest on this podcast for the rest of the offseason, because I don't think we're going to have those answers for a while.
I wonder if it will be, and again, it might take a bit of working out in pre-season to kind of get the kinks down and stuff like that. But it could be a situation where Bobby is up in the booth and kind of has a more eagle eye view, and it's like, okay, coach, run this kind of play. So McDaniel's still calling the plays, but he's just getting some outside help. Again, that still might be too many cooks, but listen, this feels like the Dolphins with the last roll of the dice going, okay, something needs to give, and maybe even potentially go in. And if it doesn't work out, we've got at least 2 guys in the building who could potentially take over in Anthony Weaver and now Bobby Slowick. So there was a question over here. It was so Cap says, "Can someone please give me Joe Mixon's stats, both receiving and catching if possible? I can do that very shortly." And then he says, "Do you guys think Bobby had a great Do you guys think Bobby had a potent offense when Diggs and Dell were out?" So Charlie, could you answer that while I try and get Joe Mixon's stats in this season?
Do you guys think Bobby had a potent offense when Diggs and Dell were out? I mean, I will answer the question, which probably isn't the answer that you would want, but it wasn't as potent, nor should it have been like it was the season before if you lose 2 of your top 3 receivers. And I think that should go for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Every team in the NFL. And I know us as Dolphins fans, when we lost 7 starters from defense in the playoffs and then said, "Oh, there's no excuses." There's teams all around the NFL that lose because of injuries. And not being a fan of them is like, dang, they had injuries. But hold on, bro. Like, we had injuries and there's no excuses. They have injuries and they didn't win, but it's only because of X, Y, and Z. So I think it's unfair to see how well he did without 2 of his 3 weapons. But at the same time, I think he has to be judged on a body of work. And I think the body of work is CJ Stroud doesn't look like a bust, for one. And 2, it's the next question is, well, is CJ Stroud that much better on his own, or did Bobby Slowick have anything to do with CJ Stroud's success? I, for one, think Slowick should get a lot of the credit for sure. Not saying that he made Stroud, but I think it's a relationship.
Yeah, I agree. There was an interesting sign. I don't know if it is Photoshop to AI at this point. You can never tell, but from the Eagles Super Bowl parade, and it's something like, I think they thanked their medical team because it was 21 out of 22 starters played in the Super Bowl. Can you imagine that? 21 of 22 starters played. That's how you win a Super Bowl. And again, we had this conversation, last season when we got knocked out by the Chiefs. Losing in sub-zero temperatures when half your team is missing, in my opinion, is a valid reason to lose to the Chiefs. The Chiefs haven't lost a home playoff game in like 3 years. And yet Dolphins fans were legitimately going, "Oh, next man up." Some of the best starters in the league cannot beat the Chiefs at Arrowhead. But you're here screaming next man up.
I will also say the games you lost prior to that are the reasons we ended up in KC, and that's the games you should have been mad at, not the actual losing of the game in KC. But that's my opinion. Like, I'm not mad that we lost in KC in those conditions. I'm mad at the Titans game that we lost. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm mad that we were like, But I'm also mad at leaving Bradley Chubb in against Baltimore. You know what I'm saying? Down 24 points. And in like 4 minutes left in the game. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. What else you got for us, Kadeem?
Very quickly. So we was asked about Mixon stats. So 14 games played, 245 carries, 1,016 yards, averaging 4.1 carries and 11 touchdowns with a long of 59. And then we also have receiving yards, 14 games, 36 receptions, 52 targets, 309 yards, averaging 8.6 yards per reception and 1 touchdown. So those were Joe Mixon's stats.
For those who don't know, well, I think I'm right here. I'm going to just say it and put it out there for life. I think Joe Mixon made the Pro Bowl, and he made the Pro Bowl over Devon Achane. And that was pretty... Like, that was some controversy, and that's why Chris Greer called it BS that Devon Achane did not make the Pro Bowl. You looking it up, Kadeem? Seeing who made the Pro Bowl?
He was a reserve.
Right. So
alongside Jonathan Taylor and James Cook.
See what I'm saying? And Devon Achane didn't make the Pro Bowl. I agree with Chris Greer. Big BS, but he didn't say BS. He said the actual thing. You know what I'm saying? And I agree with Chris Greer. Like, yo, Cook, Mixon over Achane. I don't rock with that. And I think there's a hate for the Miami Dolphins because of the position that Tua's concussion put the NFL in. And I think that's why you got the Teddy Bridgewater got hit and they took him out of the game. There's a lot of things that the NFL don't like about the Dolphins. And I think they just hate on us. But Kadeem, something else about I'll say this first. A couple weeks ago, I said Aaron Rodgers would be a Pittsburgh Steeler coming up. Then things started happening to where it looked like, oh, this could be something here. And I didn't put money on it, and I wasn't like up like, yo, let's go to DraftKings and see where they got Aaron Rodgers at. But as things started changing, I'm like, oh, this is looking real good. Maybe I need to find out what the odds are for Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. By the time I got there, it was like plus 200. And then it was probably, who knows, plus 400 before I got there, or even higher. By the time I got there, it was plus 200. And then 3 subsequent days later, more things start happening. Russell Wilson is reportedly not going back to Pittsburgh. And I'll tell you why we're getting there. And I'm like, yo, Pittsburgh's the perfect place for Rodgers because Tomlin loves them. Tomlin likes to bring in players after they're done and gets them on bargains. Then Pittsburgh just had Fields and Russell Wilson for like $3 million total. No team has ever paid $3 million for 2 quarterbacks ever. And the Pittsburgh Steelers just did it. And now they can get Aaron Rodgers at a discount clearance price going out of business sale. You feel me? So I think they can also bring in Devontae Parker, which they need receivers. My bad. Devontae Adams. Thank you, sir. So they also could bring in Devontae Adams because they need a receiver. So now you got George Pickens, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers. You could do something there. Former Miami Dolphin, Deshaun Elliott, comes out and says on Instagram, when the buzz starts getting around Aaron Rodgers, and you start to get these Photoshop Aaron Rodgers Pittsburgh uniforms and pics, and Deshaun Elliott comments on Instagram saying, leave his butt, he didn't say butt, leave his butt at the retirement home. And I hit up ShareRide Steve, and I'm like, bro, for someone in Deshaun Elliott that doesn't have a home team and is bouncing around from team to team and always comes out and talks about a quarterback on the team that he's on now, that is crazy to me that you could find so much peace and comfort to start calling out people like the positions on your team that you're not even fixed at. And I was like, yo, it would be funny if Pittsburgh brings in Rodgers and cuts Deshaun Elliott because he's not an important piece of that team. But I thought I was very funny because if those who remember, Deshaun Elliott said the Dolphins should go after Lamar Jackson when we had Tua, and he wasn't even on the team for like 2 weeks yet.
It's crazy, and it's funny how at the time people were like, Elliott is out of line, cut him, and then, fast forward a year, it's Elliott was right and all that kind of stuff. It's the same with Fangio. We had a question when we finally going to talk about Fangio. That's what I'm mad about. Do you want to do that in bonus time?
I think ShareRide Steve's coming on the podcast in a couple of days. And I would prefer that we leave that for ShareRide Steve. So you're going to get this episode. You're going to get the Fangio, the former Dolphins, stuff like that, Super Bowl. We'll probably talk more about the Super Bowl on that episode, but ShareRide Steve's supposed to be coming. He was actually supposed to be on the podcast today. We were actually supposed to do that today too. So within the next couple of days, we're going to get ShareRide Steve on, and hopefully we can do that. So I prefer not to talk about Fangio. What was you about to say?
I was going to say, as well as ShareRide Steve, like I said, we have so many draft prospects. Literally, Charlie, I got another message today saying, hey, can I come on the podcast and talk? So it's an ever-growing number. If you're watching this and you're a draft prospect, hit us up on social media, GoTime Dolphins on Twitter or Kadeem Simmons on Twitter. And we'll see what we can do. Shout out to Josh Addo and Darius Maxwell, who have blessed us with their appearances so far. There are plenty more to come.
One more thing before we get into bonus time. Deebo Samuel was reportedly asking for a trade, and now it is reported that he may be cut or released from the 49ers. Is there any interest, Kadeem, in Deebo Samuel?
Not for me. There's not. Nope. Nah. I've seen the story way too many times. Guy could have joined Miami allegedly previously. Didn't want to. That's cool. That's fair enough. Don't try and come now. You've been cut. Like, go elsewhere. I don't think the Dolphins are a Deebo Samuel away from winning anything. And if I'm perfectly honest, if we're going to keep Tyreek and we've got Jalen Waddle, we've got Malik Washington, I don't see the need in bringing Deebo Samuel. I genuinely, and I'm not just saying this, I'd much rather go find someone else in the draft and be like, hey, for pennies on the dollar, can you develop into something? Because kind of sick and tired of these big name people in general trying to join Miami to try and get one last paycheck before they, go play in Pittsburgh or somewhere.
I don't know, Kadeem. The only reason I'm okay with not, well, there's two reasons, but the only reason I'm okay with not going and getting Deebo, and this is if he becomes a free, like if he gets cut, I'm not interested in trading assets and then reworking the contract for Deebo. I have zero interest in that. But if he's available on the market, then you could jug up a contract. I would absolutely go after him. But the only reason I'm okay with not going after him is because we have Touche's 24, Malik Washington, who I think is going to take over for Jalen Waddle when we trade him. I think we're going to trade Jalen Waddle within a year or two, and Malik Washington is going to be a major piece in the Miami Dolphins offense. A lot of people might not believe that. I do. Another reason why I wouldn't want Deebo is because my favorite player in the NFL plays on my favorite team in the NFL, but he's not available like I need him to be. The last thing I would want is to have another one of my favorite players in the NFL, and Deebo Samuel, to come to my favorite team and not be available. So it's like, I don't just want to watch a team with my favorite players if they're not playing. And Deebo gets hurt every game, not just every year. Every game, Deebo gets hurt. That being said, the Dolphins could use depth at receiver, and we could use depth at running back. This draft is a great draft for running backs. The running back class is it this year. And what I think is going to happen is the Dolphins are letting Jeff Wilson walk. They're going to let Raheem Mostert go. You're going to have A-Chan and Jalen Wright, and you're going to have another rookie running back again. You might have a very young running back room. So you're going to have A-Chan, Jalen Wright, and then two rookie running backs. I think that's possible. So you're going to have a real deep but a real young running back room. Where Deebo comes in at is, if you could get Deebo on pennies on the pound, then you say, look, you're going to be playing running back and receiver. There's no, don't use me too much. Nah, you have to understand that you're going to be at both of these positions. And I think that brings some attitude to the team for everyone to say, nah, we're too soft. There's no dogs on the team. But then you get a dog available and then people don't want them. And it's like, I don't know, bro. Like, how can we keep saying we're too soft and we don't got no dogs? And then one becomes available. I understand he's not 2021 Deebo, but I think everything has a price. And if that price matches, I'm absolutely on board bringing in Deebo Samuel.
We'll see. I'd much rather go and get Dre Greenlaw if I'm getting a 49er, but that's a whole nother conversation for a free agency episode.
All right. Y'all know what time it is. Bless you, Kadeem. Y'all know what time it is. Stay positive. Test negative. For Kadeem Simmons, I'm Charlie Touche. Thank you for tuning in this time. Make sure you catch us next time on Go Time. Already.
Gotta make them lose their mind when it's your time. And it's show time. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time. Gotta make them lose their mind when it's show time. Cause it's your time. Lay it on the line when it's go time. Don't waste no time. Gotta make their mind when it's your time. And it's showtime. Going all out when it's go time. I ain't wasting no time.
This one's aimed at me, but I'll aim it at you first, Charlie. With Fuller gone, Cam Smith as a starter, perhaps. What do you think, Charlie? Given that he is, famed for Touche 24.
Jeff Okudah might be available. Jeff Okudah was like the third pick overall.
Yeah, fourth.
And he went to Detroit, and he ended up being a huge bust. Super huge bust. The reason I don't believe in Cam Smith no more. Touche 24 Cam Smith. I don't believe in Cam Smith anymore. And it's not because of his inabilities or abilities or lack thereof, or however you want to word this. When you see certain things on film and other people who do this for a living, I do not do this for a living. I make Touche 24 for a podcast. I think it's dope. I love scouting players. I do believe Cam Smith was supposed to be something. And the only thing that happens is you get labeled with a bust for not performing. Why you don't perform usually never comes out. I will say that because some of these things shouldn't happen for certain people. All that being said, it is unfortunate that Cam's trajectory is him being a bust, but at the same time, some things you bring on yourself. I think that's all I can say, Kadeem.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I know a lot of people believe that, Cam Smith has something over Chris Greer, or the fact that, Chris Greer's son and Cam Smith went to college together, all that kind of stuff. I think you're doing a disservice to the player and the situation or the scouting process if you genuinely believe the Dolphins took Cam Smith in the second round because he's friends with Chris Greer's son. That's just absolutely insane. But we say it all the time. The best ability is availability, and that amazing rookie training camp means nothing. Yeah, preseason means absolutely nothing if when the season starts and you're unavailable due to circumstances which you can control, but also it doesn't really work when you do play. You'll probably get another chance this off season, but that chance is going to come alongside probably another corner that's going to be brought in free agency, and then someone else in the draft. So that's not to mention the constant emergence of Storm Duck and Ethan Bonner. So like many players in the Dolphins locker room, it's now or never for Cam Smith. And it could either be a remarkable comeback story. It's like, hey, it finally clicked, absolutely brilliant. Or you'll just go down as another weighted draft pick in a long history of draft picks that the Dolphins just didn't seem to get right.
On a macro level, Kadeem, I used to make music. You know this. I used to make music, and I made, and just going to put some stuff out there. I made music with a lot of people. A lot of people.
Name them.
Famous people.
Name
a lot of
famous. Name one. Name one, because I know you want to. Name one.
Iggy Azalea, Jason Derulo, T-Pain, Nappy Roots, what's some Yin Yang Twins, Fabo, shout out Fabo, Pitbull, Rick Ross. All right, it's a long list that I made.
I said name one, and it's still going.
Hold on, but there's a long list of people that I work with, and something about the music industry that I've matured into, that I understood. Shout out to DMX. He said, "I tried so hard to get in, just to find out I don't even fit in." And that was me 1,000,000%. Those words never meant so much more to me than when I was actually in the industry. And when I got out the music industry, I realized, I should preface my comments by saying, when I gave my life to Christ and got out the industry, I realized something, which was when an artist disappears, you don't really know why that artist disappears. When someone is like a one-hit wonder, you be like, oh, he was a one-hit wonder. He wasn't any good. Like, where is he now? But when you're in the industry, you kind of know some things that other people aren't privy to. You know some things that people don't really know. And you probably can't even really say. That's a macro level. But the fans, it's like, yo, you're nobody to us. You bust, da-da-da, this and that. On a micro level, imagine 1% of the planet plays this sport, are good enough to play this sport, and they get drafted into the NFL. You do not know how they will handle the money, the fame, the attention, the pressure, and a lot of things that come with the territory. You can do all you can to scout a person and put private investigators on them and all this other good stuff, but at the end of the day, it's really up to that person to take it on to up to themselves to be the best person they could possibly be with that opportunity. I will leave that at that.
100%. I will leave it with this then. As I mentioned before, we have some very impressive, some quite interesting people coming on over the next few weeks. Draft prospects. So make sure you have your subscriptions turned on, notifications turned on. Leave a like on the videos already. Go back and check our episodes with Josh Addo and Darius Maxwell. And listen, if there's anyone you wanted to go and get, someone you think who's going under the radar, drop it in the comments. We would reach out and try and get them on. The more, the merrier. It's a great time. It's an absolutely amazing and privileged time. And anything else, Charlie? Then we shall see you soon. Peace.